Well, we've both been interested in improving our environment for our children and grandchildren. You know, we live in a world where we need to affect change. We wanted to drive change. And actually, it can happen at a corporate or a governmental level, but actually there's a place for individuals really to act, and that's where we started from. We wanted an electric car.
Well, I think we gave a car away to a child and suddenly realised that we needed a new car, and we didn't want to buy another petrol car. So I think that was the starting point, wasn't it? We decided that this was the time that we would get an EV.
So we got a Tesla. Why wouldn't you? They're just superb cars, one of the best cars I've ever owned, as it turns out, and has performed as we would have done, as we wanted it to, rather. And then that led us on to an EV charger, and that's where we got hold of Tom and Vanadium.
So we knew we wanted an EV, and we'd drawn up a short list of cars that we wanted to look at. And the first car we went to look at was a Tesla. And I can remember saying to you on the way there, we're definitely not buying this car. And we bought it, didn't we?
We did, but you were the one who decided to buy it.
I was. So there we were. We had this lovely new EV car, but had no idea how we were going to charge it. So that started our journey. So we started to look at EV chargers, and we then drew up a list of certified EV installers for Tesla, and that took us on our journey to Tom.
Yes.
And I can remember we were driving, where were we driving? To see the grandkids or something, weren't we? Yeah. And I put a call in to Vanadium, and Tom called back and sort of just took over, really. We had to pull into a lay-by, and he was just so enthusiastic. We were about everything, and said yes, of course he could come out and talk to us about an EV charger, and that's where our journey started, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we did consider other options, and we did have a couple of other installers come around, but actually every time we talked to Vanadium, they were coming up with what I can only describe really as a sort of a quality option. You know, a quality option around just something like the solar panels, and going for a solar edge and having all the panels optimized.
And it wasn't
so they maximized, you know, which other people weren't offering. So you always felt you were getting from Vanadium just a bit more professionalism, a bit more quality.
And the other thing that I particularly liked is, you know, we've lived in this home for nearly 30 years, and it's very precious to us. And actually, it was going to be quite a difficult install, quite intrusive, and Vanadium were really good at coming up with smart ideas about how to get around different problems, and which other installers weren't necessarily. They were doing the easy option rather than the more complex option that would make it much better for us in the long run. So, yeah.
And little things like another installer said, well, we'll just put the battery on the back wall of the house. But Vanadium said, well, if you do that, the battery will be fine, but after 10 years, you know, it's going to be exposed to the wind and the rain. It would be better if we put it in the garage.
Which was a more difficult thing to do.
More difficult to install, it was going to take longer, the cost was going to be on them actually at that point. But you know, you always felt you got that sort of quality extra.
So we had the solar edge inverter, which they installed inside the house, and then we've got our battery in the garage, and we've got our Tesla charger, Gen 3, I think it is. So yeah, those are all the bits of kit that we had installed. And that then led to suddenly, because we had all the battery and the EV charger, we were able to then negotiate a really good tariff with Octopus Energy. And that has been an absolute deal breaker. So we're able to charge the car and the battery at a very cheap rate at night, 7.5 pence a kilowatt, and then we don't draw on the grid at all during the day. And the solar tops the battery up, and we sell excess back to the grid at a profit, don't we?
Yes.
So,
and I think from an environmental point of view, you know, there are so many gains in all that. Not only are we not drawing any energy from the grid, we're self-powered a considerable proportion of the day. But we are saving oil by heating our hot water on an immersion through solar and the Powerwall, so less oil. There are other areas that we've sort of...
It just seems to be win-win. We seem to be all the time, you know, and actually it's quite interesting because neither of us are particularly tech savvy, are we? And that was one of the big hurdles when we went into this is Tom was saying, well, there'll be an app and you can watch this and you can design it this way. And we were going, oh my God, that's going to be really hard. Yeah. It's so easy, isn't it? And actually you're glued the whole time to your app. Yes, you are. Because you're saying, look how much we're generating today. And it's, you know, it's all been quite easy. And that's the other thing. Vanadium have been very supportive post the install, so that if we have a glitch or we don't understand something, you know, one text to Tom and he's back within, straight away, always, and very, very helpful. So we've felt very supported the whole way through, haven't we?
And I think that's one other point we'd really like to emphasise about Vanadium and the install is that nothing was too much trouble for them.
No, they were amazing.
Too much trouble, and I mean, we did feel sorry for the apprentice engineer who, in the pouring rain, was having to dig little trenches all around the house because for Vanadium it wasn't good enough just to tack a wire onto the house. They wanted to dig a trench, so it was out of the way.
It was above and beyond.
Yes.
We just could not speak more highly of them, could we? No.
And you know, we are lucky enough to have a period house, a couple of 100 years old, and so you know they don't take to new technology very easily, these old houses. But actually, you wouldn't know there'd been installed. You really wouldn't.